Welcome to Camera Shake Podcast, episode 57 with me, Kersten and Nick Kirby, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything to do with photography, videography, making photos, making videos, and anything that's got anything to do with any of that. Anyway, today we come to you from a new set.
Ooh.
Brand new set.
It's exciting.
Well, it's season 2 after all. So,
well, we're a couple of episodes in though.
Well, there you go. Anyway, so we hope you like it. We've spent a lot of time and spared no expense to put this set together.
Spared no expense. We just moved the room that way around.
That's right, yeah. So in a weird way, you can now see behind the scenes of the episodes that we've made in the past.
Yeah, you see that right behind me there? That's where I spend most of my days.
Many takeaways have been eaten on this couch.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are back with a brand new episode. We've had some really fantastic guests on over the last few weeks.
It's been incredible, isn't it?
So, and there's tons and tons of more goodness to come.
Yeah, it's been quite humbling than the guests we've had recently. It really has been. Yeah. To think that, we were a year plus ago now, we were just starting doing exactly what we're doing right now, just having a chat, that we'd have Peter Hurley on.
Yeah, and Joel Grimes. And all the other awesome guests that we've had on.
Of course. That sounds like we're picking those two out in particular, but they're heroes, right? And,
for sure.
It's just unreal to get the chance to just talk to them.
Yeah, totally. And of course, I mean, the thing is that with every time we speak to a new guest, there are always a number of takeaways from that. I mean,
for sure.
There's always a learning experience for us in that. In fact, so much so that I used a number of Joel's hints and tips at a photo shoot earlier today.
Go on.
Yeah, it was actually.
What did you use?
Well, it was more like going for a particular type of look.
Okay.
The kind of movie poster type of look. So I think I pulled it off rather well.
What did you do differently to what you would typically do on a portrait headshot shoot?
Well, I just used a different setup.
Okay.
One of the things that I've seen Joel use. I mean, it's not necessarily an outrageously. It's actually a very easy setup. It's really just a beauty dish with a grid on. I tried a grid. I tried diffusion stock, and I tried it, without anything. Very close with the model, very close to, or the subject very close to a backdrop, and shooting it from a relatively low angle with a really wide lens. So this is one of the beauties of putting a new set together is that you can never be sure whether things are holding up.
I've been watching that getting close to falling over since we started. I thought, no, there we go.
So what you can't see is that we can see ourselves on an external screen over there, which is just falling off its makeshift stand. So there you go. Yeah, so this particular thing was, I'll tell you what was different, right? So under normal circumstances, on a typical portrait shoot, I wouldn't necessarily use a 24mm lens.
No.
So, the look's different.
Yeah.
The tones are different. It's, it's got a really cool, I don't know, it just really brings the image in, like the light falls in, the beauty dish at a really close distance to the face really creates this really cool light, this really cool pool of light, then it folds off really quickly to the side. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it really hones in on the face, and it just creates these really nice contours. So it's a very contrasty kind of look, and it looks very cool.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
I haven't actually edited it yet, but just straight out of camera, it already looked pretty cool.
Nice. Well, hopefully by the time this episode goes live, you'll have one ready. We can pop one in somewhere about now.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
So that was
wicked.
So that was cool. So again, something learned in yet another Camera Shake podcast episode.
This is it, man. This is it. It's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's all about.
So it's been cool. It's been busy, man. It's been a busy busy couple of weeks.
It has. Oh, just real quick on that shoot. You gonna try that style again?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm gonna develop that a little bit. Yeah, it's really a cool style. I like it a lot, and there's definitely there's space for it to grow.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Well, I love that.
I tell you another thing that worked out really well in this particular shoot. So this was almost like a branding shoot for a music artist, and so we went through different setups and different looks and everything. And there was one portrait look which worked out beautifully by sheer accident.
They're the best.
And do you know the difference between a fabric background and, let's say, a paper background? Is the fact that you can, especially when you light the background in a way that you can see the texture. The problem with the fabric background is always that you can sometimes see waves in the fabric, And so the effect that it has, or that it had in this particular case, was that I literally had little light streaks across the back. So under normal circumstances, if I'd lit a paper background in that way, I would have just had basically, a circular highlight, on the background with a strong fall off to the side. So basically, you create like a vignette type of thing. But in this particular case, it was sort of a rectangular speedlight head, and because the backdrop was slightly wavy, it created these light streaks.
Oh,
and so instead of getting a round sort of pool of light, you get these light streaks across, and it really added to the whole look because it was quite sort of a dark, mysterious look almost.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and it's and then by dropping down the power quite a lot, they literally look like little unevens of light streaks in the background. So yeah, it turned out cool.
Oh, I like that. See, that's one of those moments that you'll try and recreate, but won't recreate it for another 10 attempts.
Well, because next time, this is the problem. This is exactly the problem with these kind of fabric backdrops, is that the next time you try and recreate it, you're guaranteed not to have waves in the same place. It'll be totally flat, and then, you can't screw it. But you got to take it as it comes, I think.
But at least you've seen it now, and you know what, like I guess, what to look for. And say, okay, I want to get those about there. It was kind of in that position before, and try and manipulate the backdrop to be in the position that you want it.
Yeah, because I have a love-hate relationship with fabric backdrops. What I mean, the advantage is you can fold them together and they store really easily, and and they're actually very durable. I've shot the same backdrop for years, and it's as good as new, really. So it's great, and you can kind of reverse it because the back of it is white.
Yep.
So you can simply flip it over, and you've got a perfectly white backdrop for, like, I don't know, headshots or whatever. Yeah.
See, we own the same brand of backdrops. We do, and I think mine are thinner than yours.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think they are, because mine aren't as white on the background. As in, you can see the other side a lot more than you can on yours.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's frustrating. So I bought a white one too.
Yeah,
although the white ones are very cheap for it, but
there are. I mean, I remember you buying a white one, and I remember thinking, why?
Yeah, that was purely the reason,
right?
Because it wasn't white enough. White enough. That's not really what I mean. But you could see too much of the other side, more than anything else. So it's like, for the sake of 25 quid, it's off. Yeah, because that's all the white ones are.
Yeah. I mean, they don't break the bank. That's the other advantage of it. I mean, I do like the fact that you can store them away really easily.
Yeah.
They literally stack up. You fold them together, you can stack them.
I've right over there, I've got like 5 in that box, plus some speed lights and a whole other load of gear. And exactly. It's a tiny little box set.
Yeah, so they're easy to take around. Don't have to roll them up. That's good. And all the rest of it. So, they're practical. They have their advantages. The only thing I find sometimes is that they're not as rich in texture as, like, let's say, hand painted. Like true. Canvas backdrops. That's definitely a little bit missing. But that being said, depending on how you photograph your subject, if you've got no light on the backdrop or very little light, or you're just vignetting or something like that, none of that matters.
Agreed. Totally agreed. And hand painted ones, they're amazing. Obviously, they look fantastic. But if you've got them set up permanently, I think they're ideal. If you don't have that option, and you need to keep taking them down and putting them up for each shoot, they're probably not the best idea.
Yeah, that's true.
It can be a pain. It can be a pain, I think, and you're probably going to end up damaging them. Keep putting them up and taking them down.
Yeah, most likely. But
they're expensive.
That's very true. Nevertheless, I will invest in one.
Damn straight.
That's the way to do it.
Damn straight.
But yeah, so
anyway, good shoot then. That's awesome. Done something a bit different.
Yeah,
love that.
That was needed after after shoot we did a few weeks ago. Well, no, not a few weeks ago. Last week or this week even, where we drove. How many hours did we spend in the car? 5 hours? 6 hours? 6 hours in the car for 20 minutes of shooting.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that. I tried to forget that, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was, what was it, 2 hours there and 3 hours back? Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Good while we're there, though.
It's amazing. One of the most frustrating things, I think, about coming out of lockdown over here in the UK is the fact that I've gotten so used to there not being a lot of traffic on the roads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's two things that happen. One, it's super frustrating when all of a sudden you're stuck in a traffic jam and it's not moving. And secondly, I find it very difficult to realistically calculate how long something's going to take because you're so used to for instance, as an example.
You or your car sat nav?
Well, both. Well, I don't know.
We'll get onto your car sat nav in a minute.
That's a whole different story. But, let's say typically when the roads are clear, it'll take probably about 20, 25 minutes to get from my place to yours. When there's heavy traffic, it could take as much as an hour or more than an hour and a half. So I find it difficult to judge depending on the day, on the time of day, as to how long I have to calculate to get, from point A to point B. Whilst pre-lockdown, this would have just been natural.
Yeah, totally. No, I know exactly what you're saying. I will give you one sarcastic reply because it wouldn't be me if I didn't do that, right? Do you know how I'm never late, ever?
How's that?
Google Maps.
Well,
I just have a little look half an hour before or an hour before I think I need to leave to give myself loads of time. Oh, right, it's currently 40 minutes to get there. All right, fine. Don't need to leave for another 40 minutes then. Fine. I should have another look 20 minutes later. Still a 40-minute journey.
Minutes.
Well, that's it. Then you know you need to leave. Right, ooh, better go. And you get in your car and you go and you're there.
Technology for you, right there. I rely on that.
What do you use?
The in-car sat-nav, which tells me I get there at a certain time. And,
what brand of sat-nav is this?
Well,
Go on.
It's Toyota's very own. Super reliable most of the time.
Is that Japanese? Is Toyota Japanese? Toyota's Japanese, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what brand the sat-nav is though.
Oh, they bought it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know what the system is. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It works most of the time. Yeah. I mean, in this particular case, it was hilarious because we had two different navigation systems running at the same time. They were both telling us vastly different things. And the traffic was just getting worse and worse, as we were driving. I mean, literally, I think there were 5 traffic jams and holdups that we could see already developing on our route. So it was, starting to get fairly pointless. I was going to get the camping cooker out in the tent. As at one point it was looking like we're going to be spending the night in the car.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
I think the simple fact of it is that the in-car sat-nav perhaps doesn't have as good a database as Google Maps does to pull from, wherever it's pulling from.
Yeah, maybe.
Just not quite. And it doesn't refresh quite as often as Google Maps does. I think that's really all it came down to. Otherwise, the routes it was choosing, once it got the information, was the same.
Well, that brings me to a question. How far are you prepared to drive to a photo shoot before you think, well, I should take a plane or a train or something like that?
Oh,
Like how many hours are you prepared to sit in the car to get to a place?
so you're asking me planes, trains, or automobile?
There you go.
Okay, good film. See, I drive a lot, and I've always driven a lot, and I don't mind driving a couple of hours, 3 hours, 4 hours without too much issue. I don't really think about it. I think if you're starting to cross over the 4 hour mark, then it might be worth considering taking a different route. It depends. Are you coming back the same day? Are you coming back the following day? Because that does make a difference. Because if you're having to do 8 hours driving the same day,
and
that's heavy.
Do you need to move around at your location? Is the other thing.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. If you're driving for 4 hours, spending 4 hours permanently moving and doing stuff, and do you need, and like you say, do you need to go from this point to that point, and drive around? Well, I don't know. It's difficult.
Have you ever taken your gear on a train?
Full gear, not full gear. I don't think I have. Like everything.
Yeah. Like a full shoot.
Not the full rig, not on the train.
Okay. No. Yeah, I've never taken the train. I very rarely ever take the train anyway.
I avoid public transport. There's people there, so we don't. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. The flying thing. I mean, I've flown with my gear several times, and it's actually always been good. So you've never really had any problems. I mean, it's the occasional thing where, some overeager person at the gate wants you to check your bag in, and you tell them that, there's a ridiculous amount of camera equipment in there. You don't want to check it in. That's the usual argument. But other than that, no.
Oh God! That just upsets me to hear that. It's just makes me cringe.
Well, it's a sign of the time. Although I'm not sure how that's going to work out. When travel or air travel is actually could be back. Post pandemic sort of thing. Because so far that hasn't really happened over here yet. We're still, although society in the UK is, in general, by and large, is opening up. Travel isn't. International travel isn't.
No,
at this point.
Got a tiny handful of green list countries which you can travel to, but it's just too misleading anyway. Because all right, you can go to these countries, but you got to quarantine when you come back.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, and yet flights to Portugal. Or was it flights to Portugal or Spain and like 300% up? Do you know?
Yeah, and the rest probably.
No.
Yeah, I saw the news the day the last lift happened, last restrictions lift happened, and the news was all they just travelled out on these flights with people and just gone. Oh, you're the first people to go abroad in the. Yeah, okay. We're just grateful to have a bit of normality.
There's zero normality there.
How's that normality? Christ. Oh, people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Having said though, I will be going on the first Hollybops in a long time. Next week, so that should be good.
Here though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's in the country. We're gonna hang in Devon for a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Devon. Yeah.
So yeah,
I was in Devon last year.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, so it should be good.
One of the nicest parts of the country. That.
Yeah,
love it.
So yeah, that'd be the first Hollybops, as my wife calls it.
Kids or no kids?
No kids. No, except for the favorite child, obviously, which is the dog.
Obviously,
but so that should be cool. And yeah, other than that, what else is new? We have. Oh yes, we have received.
Yeah.
Joni Simon's book.
We have.
Check it out. Picture Perfect Food. Now, if you cast your mind back, last month. Was it last month? It probably was last month.
Yeah.
We had a few episodes ago, we had Joni Simon on the show, and she was telling us about her new book that was about to come out at a time.
Have you got my copy dirty?
No.
Okay.
It's probably food. It's a book about food. True. So, anyway, so Picture Perfect Food is out now. It's a 52 bite-sized tutorial book about food photography. And it really is awesome.
It really is.
I mean, it takes you. The cool thing about it is you really need to have hardly any experience in photography in the first place, other than a natural interest in it. And it really takes you through the whole 9 yards, all the way from the beginning to taking really awesome images of food. So,
and it's deceiving how good some of the photos are in here. Because you look at that, you look at this particular shot, just for example. I don't know if the light's shining on that or not. No, it looks all right. Yeah, it's a classic kind of food shot. You don't think too much about it. What you do think is, shit, I want some steak right now.
yeah.
And that, what does that say? It says, it's a good shot. Simple as that. Because it makes you want what you're looking at. And that's all food photography is, right? See, now I want a burger.
Although we shot a project for a food photographer only recently, and it just kind of brought home how much more is involved in the whole process.
Yeah.
From like not only styling the food, but also obviously lighting it and using the right kind of accessories, like the right type of plate and cutlery and all that kind of jazz. So that's certainly really interesting, and
it's nice to see it in action, wasn't it? Because it's not something either of us do, and to see someone who is what they do in person is really cool. It was nice to watch, wasn't it?
The best thing about that was that we were meant to shoot a whole bunch of Madeleines. What's it called? Madeleines? Little
Madeleines, yeah.
Madeleines, yeah. We never got to shoot them because we hate them all. That's the best part.
That's the royal we.
It's not the royal we. It's literally the we.
This man over here.
Well,
to my right.
I am a killer of Madeleines, that's for sure.
And I won't lie, I did pick up the tray many times to just pass it over. It's like, do you want one more?
Oh, well. They were good. What can I say?
They were good.
Oh, man.
They were really good.
So, yeah.
So what's next in this book is that we're going to recreate or follow Joni's instructions and create some kind of food photography. And then we're going to have Joni back, hopefully, to critique what we've done. For her to say, Nick, Kay, must try harder.
Are we actually going to try and recreate the actual recipe as well?
Well, we both like cooking, so...
Well, this could be fun. Yeah, this could be fun.
It's an extra dimension of getting it right, though.
Yeah, we could totally recreate it. It'd be extra messy, but I'm down with that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to find an interesting recipe in that.
You see?
It's difficult because they're all really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
anyway,
if you have an interest in food photography and you want to learn how to shoot food and how to really get better at that, this book is highly recommended. Again, it's called Picture Perfect Food. You can pick it up. Where can you get it? Well, you can get it from Amazon, I guess.
Yeah. Is it actually out here yet?
I believe it is. If it isn't, you can pre-order it.
Yeah, it will be very, very shortly if it's not. And see, even the front cover. I want to eat the front cover. Look at that.
Yeah.
Are they tacos? They're tacos, aren't they?
Yeah, man. Anyway, highly recommend.
Sorry, distracted by food.
Cool. Now, what else have we got? There's a couple of news stories that have caught my eye over the last few days. Mm-hmm. One is, get this. So we've all been grappling with Zoom over the last year and a bit.
Just a touch.
Since that was our, the only way we could, well, not necessarily the only way, but one of the best ways, I guess, to communicate with other people, not only with individuals via video link, but also, with groups of people, whether that's your camera club, which most likely would have moved on to Zoom, or whether it's, work or whatever. Education, but Google have been developing a really interesting system which they call Project Starline, and the idea with that is that they're trying to create a 3-dimensional image so that it feels like you're actually sitting opposite another person.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the way they're doing this is with something called light field displays. And a whole bunch of sensors. And so what happens is these sensors create like a 3D image. And then the software basically adds things like shadows and stuff like that to make it look more realistic and, more lifelike. And then the audio is recorded via like, multi-surround, whatever, blah, 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 so that it sounds very directional. And so the impression that you get, and it gets all compressed and obviously sent over the internet, whatever. But if you're sitting in front of a light field display, you're literally going to have the impression that you're sitting opposite another person in 3D.
Wait, so the display is a 2D display, is it?
I'm not. Well, see, the funny thing was there wasn't.
Or do you need to wear goggles?
No, the whole idea is that you won't need any goggles or anything. So it's basically creating this illusion of three-dimensionality without the need for goggles or, glasses or anything like that.
There's a Ben Affleck film like this.
Is there?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
struggling
Batman.
to remember. Paycheck is what it's called.
Right. Okay.
Paycheck. I can't believe I remembered that.
Huh.
Yeah. Don't worry. Terrible film. It's fine. It's Ben Affleck. It's fine. It's terrible. But
Ben Affleck, if you're listening.
I'm joking. It's actually not that bad. It's got Uma Thurman in as well.
In fact, Ben Affleck, if you are listening, get your ass back into that Batman costume. Man, don't let that freaking vampire take over. That's going to be terrible.
It's the lesser of two evils, isn't
well.
it?
My first a vampire. Well, I guess he was a bat in one movie, so now it's a bat in another.
Yeah, true.
No.
Anyway. So it's a 2D display by the sounds of it, probably.
Oh, yeah, it would be.
But done in such a way that it looks like...
So it's not a hologram, per se.
Or are they expecting you to wear a headset?
No headsets, no goggles, no nothing.
Okay.
So that's the whole idea. And so they've built prototypes, they've been testing it, within a number of companies in the US. It's very far away from making its entry into the consumer market at this point. But the technology sounds sound. And this could be the future of video conferencing.
Well, that's the next step by the sounds of it.
I mean, it's the one thing about, if you think about Zoom or, the likes of FaceTime or whatever, much of a muchness really, in a sense. You always have that problem that, on one hand, you're looking at a tiny screen of somebody else's face, and then you've got to grapple with, low resolution webcams and, crappy audio and all the rest of it. So it would be good if all of that could be cleaned up and you could have a much better signal, and it would go, I think it would go a long way in like making these sort of encounters more pleasurable. Yeah. Than they are at the moment. I think we're all a bit Zoom tired.
I think everybody's a bit bloody Zoom tired, aren't they? You know, because it's just a crappy little image of someone that I know, And if it can feel more like you're with that person having a chat, I'm all for it.
Well, I'm always annoyed with the likes of Zoom until I realize that I now have to get in the car, drive 45 minutes for a 15-minute meeting, and then drive 45 minutes back.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, right, Zoom anytime.
I'm done with that. Yeah, no, I'm totally... Yeah, I'm excited about that, actually. It's going to be a few years before we see it.
I think, for sure.
Could even be 10 years, but I think that's moving in the right direction.
No, for sure. What I really want is I want a little disc that just brings up a little hologram that I can talk to. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Which film are you in right now?
The Force Awakens. Maybe something like that.
Do you want a holographic chessboard as well?
Yeah. Who wouldn't?
Well, who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't want a holographic chessboard?
Hollow would lose his shit.
Hollow?
Solo would lose his shit.
Yeah, for sure. What else new? The only other news I've come across that I found sort of mildly amusing, not amusing, but interesting, was the fact that Photoshop have upgraded their neural filters.
I saw that. I did see that. I didn't try anything new, but see, I haven't actually been on Photoshop all that much the last sort of 6 or 8 weeks because I've been so focused on video-related projects. So the last time I used neural filters, there was stuff about making eyes bigger and jawlines different and
Oh yeah, that's
all
cool.
of that kind of stuff. That's the last thing I remember on
Right.
that. And it work as long as you didn't push it, it will work very well. But when I last went into there, which was only in the last few days, it was all change. It was all change, in fact.
Yeah, so a number of these neural filters are sort of beta, and a number of them are, I think they're just gathering information as to how useful people would find a filter like that sort of a thing. But some of them are really quite useful. I mean, the black and white photo recoloration filter or whatever it is, that does actually work surprisingly well. It's not 100% perfect all the time, but generally speaking, it does a pretty decent job.
So I wonder how that's working. Is it, because obviously there's still color in a black and white image, that the underlying kind of, if you push reds, you push blues, you push cyans, things like that, it makes an impact on the look of a black and white image still. I wonder if it's somehow working that kind of stuff out, plus working out what the shape of something is. Is that a person? Is that a tree? Is that this? And combining that all together. I really, honestly, I have no idea.
I have no idea. I mean, I think skin tones might be a good starting point. They will probably figure out, well, this is probably a face, so therefore that's probably skin, so therefore it's probably in this tonal range. And so therefore I can sort of deduce more or less what the other grays are potentially, or is a high chance that this could be a blue or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting thing. It may be a lot more random than we think. Who knows? It'd be interesting to look into that. Maybe we should get somebody on the show from Adobe that can explain to us how that actually works.
I'd love to talk to someone who knows about all that.
So that's interesting. In fact, I mean, if you know how these filters work, then just get in touch with us. It'd be interesting to hear about. But there's a new neural filter that Photoshop or Adobe have just introduced, and it's called the depth blur filter. And what it really is, we already know this from our mobile phones, from our cell phones. It's the kind of the portrait mode, whereby it blurs out or creates like a bokeh type of a thing in the background.
Yep.
So we're now creating that depth of field blur, if you want to call that, for the lack of a better term. But
did you try it?
I've seen some examples. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does its job. Yeah, you can kind of set the depth of field, focus points, or whatever else, so you can change the blur depending on. So you got different parameters that you can change about it. So it makes it more flexible than what you would get from your phone. But that being said, I've yet to see a photograph where that looked as good or as realistic as it would be, using an actual lens, an actual aperture. That's just one of these things. So I think it's like many things.
It's brilliant for a snap, right? It's the best way to put it, I guess. It's fantastic for a snap, and even if you take a snap and you can see these examples where actually it's just, for whatever, because of the textures and the different contrasts that are going on, it misses a section somewhere.
Oh yeah,
and it misses out. No. Even then, for a snap, it still looks good. It's great. It's more pleasing to look at than had it not been in that mode, right? Yeah. But you never. Oh, maybe one day you will. But right now, I don't think you can't replace what an actual lens does.
No, it's also, I mean, very often. I say this all the time when it comes to post production, or editing, is that, if you can do something in camera, in a sense, why wouldn't you? I mean, okay, once you bake it into the image in camera, then it maybe doesn't leave you as many options later on. But the reality, I think, it usually is a time saver. If you can get something,
saver. Yeah.
So that's the thing. I mean, it's not to say that, of course.
Helps you make decisions. You commit to something that you're going for.
Yeah, I mean, that's not to say that, for instance, later on, once you're looking at the photo on the screen, you don't have additional creative ideas, and
totally.
That could totally be the case. And so in that instance, this could be a quick kind of fix for that. There are certain things that work really well. I mean, the sky replacement tool is probably a good example. It actually works surprisingly well.
It does. Again, as with all of them, in the right circumstance.
Yeah. And of course, you have to go in and adjust little things and maybe, correct little bits and bobs. But it's definitely a lot less time than having to go in and manually replace this guy. So, so it's all like horses for courses, I guess.
Exactly. For that one occasion where it doesn't work and you would need to go in and do it manually, you've spent a couple of minutes trying to make it work with that.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's going to work. Often it's, on that one occasion it doesn't. Fine. Okay. Yeah. You've wasted a couple of minutes. Now you can go and do what you were originally going to do and manually do it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It just speeds the process up. So I like the fact that they're bringing in new filters and they're trying out different things. So let's just see where that goes.
Yeah.
Over the next few months or year or something.
And it's all AI based, isn't it? That stuff. So I think it's one of those. If everybody, it's all sending information back to Adobe every time you use it. Use it. Everybody use it. You don't have to commit to it, but try it and use it. And then if you don't like it and you don't use it, it will go through the software. It will know that, and it will send it back to Adobe, and it will make it better.
In fact, if we
get
loads of people to create photos with depth blur using the new depth blur filter and send it through to us, that'd be hilarious.
Yes.
So if you do use Photoshop, try that new neural filter, and tag us on Instagram or something, that'd be interesting to see.
That'd be awesome. That'd be fun. It'd be fun to see those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, I'm going to do mine tomorrow.
Now it seems live events are back.
Are they?
Well, yeah. Did you watch Eurovision?
No.
So Eurovision, I think, was it like a test type of event where they had an actual live audience, albeit like a relatively small live audience?
Is that right? Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing people say Eurovision's political, but I think that's crap.
Well,
nil point.
So here's the thing, right?
Nil point.
I tell you what. I read something rather interesting about this. So first of all, we make no effort in writing on getting anybody to produce music that actually has. Well, we put no effort into the music, basically, right? That's one thing. Mm-hmm. Then we send a guy over there who basically takes the mix out of all the other nations and all the other songs and everything else, like nonstop. Mm-hmm. And then we're surprised when we don't win it. In fact, we're surprised when we come last, when we have put no effort into the whole thing, and then we blame everybody else. It just seems bizarre to me that is actually a thing.
Welcome to the backwards British way.
Well, it's just interesting because you look at other countries that usually do very well, like Italy, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like,
because they weren't taking Coke.
Oh yeah. I don't even know whether that was a thing or not, but it boggles my mind as to how people can.
You even went to boggle. Wow, that means it's serious.
Boggles to mind as to how people think that it could be political. I mean, it may be or may not be, but the reality is the reasons why we always put up such a bad show. It's got nothing to do with politics. It just it's got all to do with the fact that we treat it as a joke, and then we're somehow surprised that we don't win it because
we're terrible because we don't give a damn about what we do in Eurovision. We never have. We come across like we care, but we don't.
What is? On a serious note,
as in, and I mean the art from a country artist perspective, not from Joe Public watching it, because actually I think Joe Public do care.
What is interesting to me is the fact that a country where the music industry plays such a large role and
bizarre,
actually has such huge export value. I just find it bizarre that we can't or don't bother to to put more effort into the Eurovision song contest. Because if we decide collectively, as a nation or whatever, that we're not interested in it, then why even take part?
Why take part?
Like, what is the point? I think it could be just as interesting to watch the whole shebang, even if the UK doesn't take part in it.
Yeah.
It might just be...
You get to see Lordi from... Were they Norwegian?
Yeah.
Was that Norway? Wherever they were from. Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Even Will Ferrell's Eurovision movie
that was a good film.
Was hilarious. Yeah, so,
I enjoyed that.
It's got entertainment value.
Who doesn't like Will Ferrell, though?
I think Bear Grylls doesn't like Will Ferrell.
Bear Grylls? How does he connect in any way? I don't know. Bear Grylls. Lots of people don't like Bear Grylls.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
It's amazing.
Anyway, I was starting to wonder how this has anything to do with photography. But
who knows?
Anyway,
it's almost midnight, so it's fun.
It is. Yeah, that's what happens when we spend about 4 hours putting a new set together.
Mm-hmm.
Strong coffee.
It's not really coffee,
or whatever that is. Yeah. Cool. So we've got a whole bunch of photographic projects planned for the over the next few weeks. So we can talk about that.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, there's a few bits and pieces going, isn't there? We still got a lot of editing to do for some couple of video projects that we've been working on.
We're also back shooting Ferraris, so that should be cool.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. Next week's video shoot for the Ferrari will be fun. So we're doing a origin story, if you like, for a guy in this Ferrari. And it does have quite an origin story. We won't give any away. You can watch the video. Then we've got a couple of music-related projects coming up too.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. It's been a little while since we've done a photography-related music project, but we've got some video work with him too, haven't we? Mm-hmm. That's going to be good.
So there's some interesting stuff coming up. And of course, on a kind of more of a personal project type of side, I think it's going to be interesting to see how things are developing over the next few months because, at least, travel in country is possible again. So that will open up a number of things for us to do because I think, we've got challenges to complete and
that's true.
Places to go. So
I'm going to go down and visit a friend of mine in Plymouth, and I don't really do landscapes as such all that much, but he's been doing photography since he was, sort of 14, 15, 16, something like that. It's always been a massive passion of his, but he moved down to Plymouth a few years ago, and I've barely seen him since. So I'm going to go down there when it's more okay to do so, probably August, September time. I'm going to go out. I'm going to spend a couple of days camping. I don't like camping.
I once got thrown out of an English class because I pronounced the town Plymouth as Plymouth.
I think your teacher was correct to do that.
Well.
Is it? Where does the Queen live in London?
Buckingham Palace.
Oh,
is that right?
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah. Is that near Leicester?
Well, Buckingham, Leicester,
Leicester Square.
Leicester Square. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have any photo projects that you're working on at the moment, let us know. That'd be interesting to hear about. You can get in touch either via email at camerashakepodcast@gmail.com or just hit us up on Instagram or Facebook, whichever way. Or, as always, you can always tie a note to a pigeon and send it over the pond.
Not again.
It works every time.
Do you have any idea how many pigeons have...
Well, that is very true. So what else is new? Oh, the BBC are launching a new photography-based program. It's the Great British Photography Challenge, which is apparently modeled on the Great British Bake Off.
Okay. So Noel Fielding taking photos.
Actually, it's presented by Rankin himself.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So there's 6 competitors, or 6 participants who are going to be doing, I think, weekly photo challenges in order to, slug it out for the title. I mean, on the plus side, I think it's interesting to see that the BBC are putting, a focus on photography or the arts in general, because,
very cool.
I think the arts are under pressure at the moment anyway, as far as funding is concerned, especially post-pandemic.
True.
So
true.
In that respect, it's a good thing. It's on BBC 4. The first episode airs on May the 24th, which incidentally happens to be today as we are recording this episode, which also means that by the time you're watching this, that would have already happened, and you're probably knee-deep into the second episode already.
True. BBC 4, thanks BBC for really pushing it up the agenda. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's good news.
I'm joking. No, that's great. That's really cool. That's very, very cool. Perhaps, maybe we pay attention to the challenges that they're doing and start recreating our own stuff. Depends what they're doing. That could be interesting.
So we could create our own challenges, and we could challenge our listeners and viewers to partake in said challenges.
Exactly.
That could be cool. Okay, watch out for next week's episode, because we will have a photo challenge for you. That's a promise. There, I said it. As requested by some of our viewers. Anyway.
Done now. Wow.
Now, we are nearly midnight.
Gauntlet.
It's almost time for bed.
Sorry, are we tired?
Oh, man. With that, we have come to the end of this week's episode. It was a relatively quick one, but we had to build a new set, and we will be back next week with lots of exciting news, and we'll see you then. By the way, if you want to join the community, make sure you head over to the Camera Shake Podcast website. That's camerashakepodcast.com. Hit the Join Our Community button, and we will update you with lots of exciting news. That being said, we'll see you next Thursday.